Now, if you just give me a couple of minutes in this video, I'm gonna help increase your sales by 200%. And if you're asking yourself, how do I have the credibility to say something like that? Well, in the last 60 days, I've helped 2 companies grow from zero sales team, zero sales process to over $200,000 in a month and over $500,000 in a singular month. Needless to say, I've helped multiple companies in multiple different industries, multiple different offers, scale their sales to the point of past 200%. Now I'm gonna show you the 3 things that you need to implement inside of your business, so at the very least, you're gonna be able to double your sales. But to do that first, I need to share with you a story. So when the first client of ours, let's, for the purposes of this video, call him John. Here's John. So he came to me and he said I was really struggling to grow my sales. So he had a couple of different businesses previous to this business. Him and his business partner, they're marketers. They're really good at creating content. They're really good at conveying a message to an audience to garner attention. But the thing that's fallen short in their last couple of businesses has been this sales piece of the puzzle. He had people who are interested in the thing that he does, the offer that they sell, but they did not have a good way to convert that attention into sales. That was the missing link here. They didn't have a sales team. They didn't have a CRM. They didn't have any systems. They didn't have any processes. They didn't have any scripts. What they did have set up was essentially just a landing page with an email, and then they sent an email with a Typeform application. And what was happening is the Typeform application wasn't set up correctly, and they were sending it to a calendar link that had an infinite amount of spots. And when I tell you that they had their calendar booked out for like weeks on weeks on weeks, and there was no filtering, they're unqualified buyers, tire kickers. If you have someone schedule an appointment for like 6 weeks out, there's a very, very, very low likelihood that that person's gonna remember what the heck that call even was. They're gonna possibly buy something in the interim. So from this short conversation I had with them, I quickly identified and determined that they didn't have any qualification or filtering or logic. They did not have a sales team or process to handle this very large amount of attention that they were receiving. And they didn't have the leverage to be able to fulfill on this offer. They're just not going to have time to be able to A, do the marketing, B, do the sales, and then C, get the people the results. Essentially, what I asked them was like, what do you want to actually focus on? And they're like, well, we would love to do the marketing and love to help our clients. The sales piece is something that I just never nailed down in the past, and hence why they're a client of us. Now, the misconception about sales is that you have to hire a killer salesperson, a killer closer, a killer setter that are A1 in their space. They've had previous experience and they have all the chops, and that's what's going to actually scale my business. I'm not saying you shouldn't have great salespeople, but what I am saying is that really what gets a company sales to scale rapidly and predictably and repeatably is having a sales system process, because it's going to be very hard for you to scale your business if it's totally reliant on talent. You need to have systems and you need to have talent. Now, if you just have systems and no talent, then you just have an expensive operation. And if you just have talent and no systems, you're going to have a very hard time scaling that sales team out. This is where you want to live. You got to have good salespeople and you got to have A+ systems to attract. And what you really want to do is be able to take that B- salesperson and be able to ascend them through systems and scripts and processes to become an A+ player. That's going to allow you to hire more people. That's going to allow you to ascend more people, and people are going to be much more bought into your business. And you don't have to spend 2 hours after your calls are done and update the CRM. You can actually see your commissions and know what you're making and see your close rate. All of these things will attract good sales talent. And I see a lot of business owners feel stuck in this cycle where they're working all the time because they're doing the marketing, they're doing the sales, they're doing the fulfillment. They can't build a system, so they can't hire, they can't scale, and they're not growing their revenue in a predictable way. Here's an analogy. Would you rather go spear fishing and take home 2, 3, maybe 0 fish that day? Or would you rather have a fishing boat with a massive, well-designed net and bring home hundreds of fish? The repeatable sales system is that net. And instead of relying on brute force, you need to set up that structure that's able to capture that attention, qualify that attention, disqualify and deter that attention. You got to be able to close deals consistently and handle that scale. You need to do all that without personally needing to grind every second second and work 14 hours a day because you're going to burn out. Number one here, filtering and qualification. You can't have a sales call with everybody. I know as an entrepreneur, you want to help everybody, and that's awesome. That's why you create free content on YouTube and things like this where you can help the masses. But if someone's going to be paying you money and you're going to be spending your time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears on that person, you need to make sure that you're only speaking with people that are qualified. And even more importantly, if you have closers that are speaking to people who are disqualified, you are going to disqualify that closer and ruin their trust inside of this sales system and sales process, because closers only want to close people. They don't want to be doing discovery. That's a job of an appointment setter. And the better the closers you have on your team, the more you need to allow them to do the things that they're best at. Now, if the Patriots had Tom Brady run like Lamar Jackson, very inefficient, Tom Brady would be killed out there. He's not fast. He's not athletic. He's a pocket passer. So closers allow them to close. Setters should be setting and qualifying to then empower the closer, which empowers the system, which empowers the team, which grows your revenue. So the big thing that we had with this offer is that they had a crazy amount of attention. We booked like 1,200 appointments, which is just absolutely ridiculous. I was kind of surprised by it. So the attention is there. And everyone's like, well, I don't have all that attention. Like, this is easy business to scale. Like, yes, it's a thing that we don't have to worry about, but at the same time, it's super easy to clog the pipes and create constraints with all of that massive volume inside of that business. What a lot of people want to do is they want to slap on a calendar with a bunch of questions that just go on forever because they're trying to overqualify to save their time. This is what a lot of business owners have to do because they don't have time. So they need to make sure that the people who are coming on are super qualified. You need to understand that not everyone is going to tell you all of this information 100% truthfully, because at the same point, these people are evaluating you as you're evaluating them, and they barely know you. Maybe they saw an Instagram reel or a YouTube video and they're like, this sounds cool, but now this guy's asking me how much money do I make and how big is my family or how big is my company? What did we do in revenue last year? And how excited am I to invest in this thing? Like, dude, I don't even know you yet. The goal is to understand what is an ideal customer look like. And then the goal is to ask questions that are perceived to be for their benefit. Instead of asking, how much money do you have? That's a pretty bold question to ask. You could ask different types of questions, like, what is your profession? What do you do? Are you a business owner? You can ask questions that can then backdoor into information to then qualify that person. For this specific offer, people have to invest a large amount of money because they're going to invest the money regardless. This is like a concierge type service where somebody's going to do the thing, but it's easier to do the thing through them. You can definitely go plan a vacation, but if you pay a travel agent, they're going to take a lot of the guesswork out. You're going to have a much easier, more seamless experience, but you're going to pay a little bit more for that convenience. So that's the type of offer. It's a convenience offer. So what they're doing is they're saying like very specific questions to see if they can even help these people, because you would actually be doing the people a disservice if you were to hop on a call and pitch them if they can't actually get the thing. There's very strict regulations for this offer, and we have to filter these things out because they didn't have any logic. They were just gathering the information and then they were sending them directly to the calendar. And then they were realizing that a lot of these people weren't a fit. They weren't happy. They were like, hey, this is like not what I thought it was. And people were getting bad results. And what we created was a Typeform application that has different routing. So the Typeform has about 7 to 8 questions. So this is going to be closer, setter, or what we call as triage. And then this is going to be their low ticket community on school. So based on the answers that we receive here would actually route them to these 3 endpoints. We're helping the people talk to the things and have the experience that actually makes the most sense for them, and it makes the most sense for the business. It's a total win-win. And as a business owner, you want to have more friction to get on the closer's calendar, and you would rather bring more people to the triage because that's going to increase your close rate if they're only talking to qualified people. You're going to compensate the setters for the work to qualify these people, and they get paid in correlation to qualified appointments that they set. So every time that one of these setters talks to somebody for a 15-minute call, they book that person, they show up on the closer's calendar, and that person receives an offer. They hear the pricing. This person's going to make a $50 bonus on top of their percentage. So we're aligning compensation with the correct actions inside of this sales process. Now, what this kind of does is creates a 2-call sales process, but there's only 1 call with the closer. They have the triage call, and then that's going to go to the closing call. because we have so much volume that for this to be a 2-call close, we don't have enough calendar space for that to happen. And instead of hiring another closer and them not having a full calendar, we like to have people at capacity before we hire. This is going to be call 1 and this is going to be call 2. So the setter, the triage call, is going to flush out all of the objections, all the qualifications, and pre-frame that closing call. So when they get on the call with the closer, they're going to have most of their questions answered. They're going to have a good understanding that they're a good fit for the program at the tier that they're good at. And then the closer is going to have the call recording through Fathom, through AI, which then gives us a summary and puts it into the notes of the CRM. And then they're going to be able to have a very poignant, intentional conversation of like, hey, I know all of this already. You already spoke with blah, blah. Like now this call is about getting you the result that you want and talking more so and assuming that sale. Now, the second element that you need to implement to boost your sales is having the right sales call process. Because one of the biggest reasons people don't convert on the sales calls is that there's no clear structure in how they're actually framing the call. So what we do is we build out a setter and closer playbook. We have training on the company. We have a master doc. We have all of the packages. We have the deliverables for each package. We have a qualification logic Miro. Like think about what we have to do for this. There's all these different things that have to occur. Is this person an individual or do they have a family? Do they have enough active income to receive this offer? If yes, then they go down this. If no, then they go through this. And there's all these decision trees and logic that we have built out from analyzing calls, listening and understanding the offer. And we build all of these things out to different packages and price points. So a closer is trained on this. They're asking specific questions and that's going to be flushed out inside of our script. So we have our intro, how we hold our frame. We get into the emotional side of what we do. Why are they doing this? This is the why. We have pre-built questions that we train and role play these closers on. Why do you want to do this? What is the emotion behind it? Then we get into the logistics, the logical side of the brain. So understanding that you want to do this, now we're understanding, can you do this from a financial perspective and from an actual logistical perspective? And then once we understand both sides of that brain, we're going to be able to go through the pitch, the commitment, the price drop, and go through the close. As you're probably looking at this, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, I don't have this. I don't have all of these assets. I don't have everything in one singular place to when I hire a setter or a closer, they can come in here, go through this playbook and this roadmap and be able to have instant success in this company. Now, if you have a business and you're doing at least $40,000 a month, you have the ability to generate leads, whether that's through organic, whether that's through affiliates, referrals, or paid traffic, then if you're watching this so far and you're like, well, I don't have this flushed out system. I don't have a process. I don't have automation. I've struggled to hire salespeople. I don't know how to qualify the best. I don't know the personas of my customer yet. If you're currently generating leads, whether that's through organic or paid channels, and you want to double, triple your revenue, click the link in the description, fill out the application. If you want us to come in, help build out your sales system, your processes, your scripts, and hire a sales team for you, click that link below. Now, the third thing I'm going to talk about here, which is massively important when you're building a sales team, is using the software to not replace a salesperson, but to add to the salesperson's efficiency. Salespeople are good at sales. They're good at communication. They're good at qualifying. They're good at activity. They're workhorses, most salespeople. They're talking all day long. Now, what a lot of people get wrong is after that long day, you're telling them to update the CRM. You're asking them to transfer their notes, do their reporting. At the end of the day, like that's not a salesperson's like best trait. I've been a salesperson that's not updated the CRM, not have a clean pipeline. And when my manager is like, hey, like where are we at for the month? What are you forecasting? I know because I'm a salesperson. I have my legal pad of all my hot deals. But if there's no transparency in the sales organization, you're not going to be able to build a team because you can't just base it off of somebody's brain. You got to have things in the CRM. Some ways that I like to automate these things, use like a note taker on calls. So we use Fathom.ai. Once we have a call, it goes to Zapier, and then that's going to go to the Go High Level CRM in the notes section. And that's also going to go to Slack, where it's going to send over the AI recap of that call. And it's also hyperlinked. So if you see a part of a conversation conversation, say there's like a pricing discrepancy, or you close the person and now you're having your onboarding call, you can go back into the CRM and reference what's been said instead of going to that closer and be like, hey, what happened with blah, blah, blah 2 weeks ago? The closer's not going to remember that person, and then you're going to have to start from square zero. Now the CSM can go into the CRM and be like, okay, this is exactly what they talked about. This is the package, blah, 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 blah. Now closers don't have to spend 45 minutes to 90 minutes updating the CRM at the end of the day. Now they can just focus on what you're actually making the most money from, which is them talking to more qualified prospects. Now, the next thing that's also a pain in the ass is going to be invoices and contracts. So what we have done is you update a pipeline stage. That's going to then talk to Zapier, and that's going to also talk to PandaDoc, and that's going to create the invoice and automatically send it to the prospect. If you're on a call with somebody, and this is how you do one call closes, by the way, is I'm ready, I'm good. You answer all my questions. The logistics make sense. Like, let's get started. The last thing you want to do is like, awesome, man, I'm going to send you an email in like 2 to 3 hours. I'm going to let you think about this and maybe get cold feet. And then I'll send you a contract where then you're going to read it, have your own assumptions, read it in your head, forget the things that we just talked about. You're going to not have your questions answered in a live environment. Or while I'm talking to you, can just click 2 buttons in the CRM. That's going to now send over to PandaDoc, create the contract based on a couple of fields, and send that to that person on the call. So then you can collect payment, answer any questions from a contractual perspective, and get that person what they want when they're excited about getting it. So it's thinking, what are the things in my sales process that I can look to automate and or automate? Once the PandaDoc has been signed, we have a full flow. So PandaDoc signed, that's going to create a Slack channel. It's going to invite the user. That's going to get them an email with an onboarding form and calendar. And that's also going to invite them into school or give them a course or whatever that's going to be. So your system should really be built in a way to allow your salesperson to just show up to the call as their best self, master the process, and close customers. And then everything else should be already automated. So your closers are closing, your setters are setting, the type form is qualifying, your funnel is working and converting attention, and you are making money hand over fist without stressing out. You can build your dream business, work with your dream clients, and your sales system is going to churn out profitability and happy paying customers. Now, there's a lot of other technical work that goes into hiring people and building a sales team. In a shorter video like this, it's hard to explain everything you need to know what to do. So in my next video, I go in depth on every little detail I've learned building over 20 sales teams, and I show you everything A to Z. It's going to be somewhere on the screen. Click that, watch that, go a little bit deeper, and I'll see you in the next one.